You're listening to The Flickcast, a podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and joining me, of course, my good friend and co-host, Joe Dilworth. Joe, welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It feels like we haven't talked since last year. Sorry.
New Year humor. It's
couldn't resist. Sorry, I know.
It's like dad. Is those like dad jokes, or are those?
I think so. Yes.
I mean, I guess joke is sort of being kind, right?
Yeah.
Being generous.
I mean, any of my humor, that's certainly being kind.
Yeah.
Call it a joke.
Wait, no, you're funny. Come on. You're funny.
Well, funny looking.
You have a great face for radio. That's what
I do. I've been told that, so that's good.
It's a wonderful compliment, or not compliment. Do they call that a backhanded compliment? I think they do.
Yes. You're well suited for radio. Well
suited. Yes. We're back, and it's been a good couple of weeks off, and went through the holidays, and probably got some presents and stuff, and a whole New Year thing. Did you do anything special for New Year's?
No, we stayed home.
Did you stay up till midnight at least?
Barely. Yeah. I'm of that age where it's like, I wake up early anyway. I'm just used to waking up extremely early for the day job. And so on the weekends, I tend to wake up early anyway. But staying up till midnight is not a given anymore. But we did stay up till midnight on New Year's Eve. And then it was like, okay, now, great, let's go to sleep.
Well, it's weird. We don't even have cable anymore. I got rid of it. And so we can't even watch the ball drop or anything. I suppose it's streaming somewhere, but it was weird. I'm like, I'm not watching Dick Clark, although Dick Clark's not alive anymore. But, any of those things that I used to do that was such a big deal, a big part of New Year's Eve. And, we stayed up until, my son wanted to stay up past midnight because that's a cool thing to do when you're a kid. It's past midnight.
Exactly. Yes.
And I'm like, at 12:15, I'm like, okay, let's go to bed. But I made it till 12:15.
Well, it's funny you mention that because my kids, anytime there's like an extended break from school, they tend to mess up their sleeping schedule. Like they'll wind up staying up all night and then sleeping for most of the day. And so we were in the process of getting them positioned back the other way so that they could go to school. And so both of them were already asleep by midnight. They were going to wake up at like 3:00 in the morning because of readjustment. So they were asleep. We were watching a TV show, and I happened to look over my phone, and I was like, "Oh, Happy New Year!" It was like 12:02 or something like that. Like, oh yeah, Happy New Year. So it's not like it was when we were a kid. Everybody watched, whatever channel had.
Gotta watch the ball drop.
3 channels had the ball drop, and you'd watch that with everyone and countdown and.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure they were doing that somewhere. There was probably a New Year's party or many a New Year's party.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And there was a lot of fireworks in our area, which was kind of fun for a while, and then it got old.
Well, even like the fireworks people were off. Like there was a bunch of there was a flurry of fireworks about 9:00 here, even though we're on the West Coast. Maybe they were like, oh, it's midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then there was like nothing at midnight. And so then we went to bed, and about 1:30, these really horrible neighbors that we have behind us started fireworks at like 1:30. And then we're out in their backyard being very loud. I'm like, you didn't even get the timing right. Come on.
I feel like occasionally everyone wants to blow off steam. It's like we've been with the pandemic and everything. If people want to whoop it up a bit for New Year's, that's why I wasn't that mad about the fireworks, except they really annoy the dogs.
Yeah, New Year's, I don't really care and stuff.
It's like I can't get mad about that. It's like if there's stuff in the middle of the week and my kid's got to go to school the next day or something, and I'm like, he just went to sleep, then I'm going to get pissed off. But other than that, I'm not going to be the neighbor who's an asshole because I wouldn't want that done to me. And we've had people over sometimes, and we've gotten in the backyard, I'm sure. So.
Well, we're kind of lucky because I've seen anytime like around New Year's or 4th of July, I have friends on social media that are talking about like days before the day. They're like, oh, people have been setting off fireworks all week and setting off fireworks.
Oh, well, this is Texas, so people set off fireworks all the time for no reason, but yeah.
Well, they don't do that here, although, oddly enough, I don't understand this. There was a whole bunch of fireworks on Christmas Eve this year. I'm like, what? Why is that?
Any excuse, by the way. So.
Well, that doesn't happen here, so it was kind of surprising. I'm like,
oh.
It's Christmas Eve. I was like, why are people setting off fireworks? Okay.
Trying to hit Santa or something. Get him. Oh.
It could be. Well, he's got those violent reindeer. You got to watch out.
He does. They leave poop everywhere. It's terrible.
By the way, did you see Violent Night?
I did see Violent Night, actually, yes. We should try to circle back and focus on stuff, but I wanted to, it's like a getting reacquainted kind of thing and easing back into it. But, we did watch a few things over the holidays. I know I watched Die Hard, as I always do.
Of course.
And a few other things, and got a few nice presents, which we can talk about maybe.
Sure.
Did you have a nice Christmas? I know we talk about the holidays, but did you have a nice Christmas?
I did. It was pretty low key. We went over to some friends' house. The people that were part of our pod during the pandemic that are really good friends. So they said, "Hey, come on over. We're just gonna have some food," and we just kind of hung out and drank and ate. And
nice.
It was very, very cash, as the kids say.
I don't think they say that.
I don't think they say that.
Very chill. I think chill is a thing.
Chill. That was it. We got up. We opened up our presents at home with our kids, which nice. Thankfully over the last many years it's not like a huge thing. It's like, here's a few things that the kids asked for.
Sure.
And we don't really we get a couple little things for each other, my wife and I. We usually get like a big joint gift.
Nice.
Not a big joint.
That one. Oh, wait.
But
it's like a Cheech and Chong movie at your house.
Yeah. A gift for both of us that actually this year's gift isn't showing up till next week, oddly enough. But
do I need to explain to the audience who Cheech and Chong is?
Probably. The kids aren't going to know who they are.
They were a very successful comedic duo in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, and they smoked a lot of weed in the movie.
You should look up Cheech and Chong's Christmas Story, which is pretty.
There you go. It's a classic, yeah, definitely. But there's also, I don't know, I remember which movie, but there's one in the movie where Tommy Chong makes a gigantic joint. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was real weed. I don't think that was prop weed. So
prop weed,
not those guys. It's not oregano, man.
No.
It's not a bunch of seeds, bro. It's real.
But yeah, anyway. It's because we decided a long time ago that Christmas is just it shouldn't be chaotic. It should be relaxing and fun.
Yeah, we were cool. We were totally cool. Our kid's the only kid, so he gets more stuff than he probably should. But I made pulled pork for dinner. That was fun.
Nice.
In my new Dutch oven that I got for Christmas. It's not a euphemism. It's an actual thing.
Again with the drug jokes. Jeez.
I don't know if that's a drug joke or I don't know. I thought that was hot boxing. That's different.
Oh, maybe. Okay. All right.
I thought Dutch oven was like when you fart under the bed, but I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's the other way around. Anyway,
they're interchangeable.
If you know the answer, please send it to joe@theflickcast.com.
Answers on the postcard.
The answer, yeah. We'll draw one random winner for no. But yeah, I got a new Dutch oven for Christmas, and I used that immediately to make pulled pork, and man, it was good. So it was super good. I made my own barbecue sauce and my own coleslaw too. I don't fuck around.
Hey, so I did that recently too. I made my own coleslaw, and I'm going to be making many other things because our gift that we got that is showing up next week is a Traeger smoker. So,
oh, nice pellet smoker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pellet
smoker.
I'm sure there's
got some pellets for
people.
It, so.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people who are purists and say, well, it's not really pulled pork unless you cook it in a smoker, bro. I'm like, no, I'm going to use a Dutch oven. I'm going to bake that shit. I don't care. But it took like 5 hours, so it was good. It was really good.
As long as it takes like several hours, it's still legit. So
I agree, and it fell off the bone. I went bone in this case, as it were, as the kids say. And
that's not a euphemism.
That's not. There was actually a bone in it, but it just fell apart perfectly. It was so good. Anyway, I'm just thinking about it. We had leftovers for a few days, and it was still good like days later. And the barbecue sauce was really good. I surprised myself at how good it was. So I'm patting myself on the back a little bit.
There you
I'm
go.
not going to reveal my secret.
What was interesting is
what was in it. Sorry.
Right. Well, before we ordered our Traeger, we got a thing in the mail for like a discount at Omaha Steaks. So we've ordered a bunch of meat from Omaha Steaks that we're going to cook on the grill when we get it. So,
nice.
Yeah. So
do they sell? God damn it! Allergies. Do they sell? Cause I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the Boston butt. I don't know. This is not even a nerd interesting. People are not interested in this at all. I'm sure, but, it's definitely not a cooking show. I promise you. But I don't know why we're talking about cooking. But cooking's fun if you've never done it. I did get a lot of cooking type things for Christmas, but anyway, that's my favorite cut for the pulled pork.
I'm pretty sure they do because they have a wide variety of things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
selection.
That's been kind of my thing recently, and going into the new year is making my own, like, slaw. I'm going to make my own coleslaw. I even want to make my own, like, mustard and mayonnaise and things like that. So
nice.
Yeah, it's just like, we're kind of on this kick of here's things that we consume frequently. Why don't we make it ourselves? Like the other kind of communal gift that we got for the family is, so we're big on carbonated water, right? That's a big thing. And we get an obscene amount of those and spend a lot of those on those, getting them from Costco and stuff. So we just got a soda stream so we can make our own, right?
It's just water with gas in it, right?
Yeah, but it's the cool thing about the soda stream is there's all kinds of flavorings you can put in, and you can even get like cola and Dr. Pepper and stuff like that, syrups to put in there. So we're making our own soda, making our own carbonated water. Wow. So we're saving money. You see, we're making our own stuff. It's good.
Yeah, that's big around here. Topo Chico especially is big here in Texas. I like it, but I prefer the lemon lime topo, if I'm being honest.
Well, we can make our own lemon lime.
Well, then when I visit you, I will definitely expect some lemon lime water.
Absolutely, I will.
And a hot towel when I arrive.
And a hot towel and a little carafe of
take my bags to my room.
Some warm nuts, as they say. You should get on the plane.
No, I think we can skip the warm nuts. Thanks. My nuts are warm enough. Oh,
Hey-o.
So, all right, we should probably shift gears. Sorry, folks. I don't know why I was interested in Christmas gifts, but it's the holidays, or it was, and it's still only January 8th. It's not even that far into the new year yet. It's in 2023 is already proving interesting.
It was somebody pointed out on the 7th in January in several other countries in the world. Christmas is observed on the 7th. So it's still this Christmas season. Our tree is still up. So our thing is, our oldest son, his birthday is in a time in January that I won't reveal, but we typically put up the Christmas tree a couple weeks before Christmas, and we take it down after his birthday. That's kind of our window of having the Christmas tree up.
I just took the tree down the other day, and I took the decorations off the front yesterday. So I'm not a person who rushes to put everything away. I don't know. I don't understand that. It's like, the tree is cool. I like the tree. I would leave the tree up for a while, but now I guess we need the living room space. I mean, our living room is big, but I guess we need that tiny space where the tree was.
Well, I got
whatever.
I got a small, like 18-inch tree, fake one, that I have on my desk.
Yeah, you keep that.
That's staying up all year, and I'm going to 3D print ornaments for different holidays for it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like a Charlie Brown Christmas, or it's a Joe Dilworth Christmas.
All year round.
Yes. All year round. It's the gift that keeps on giving, folks.
Absolutely. So, there you go.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, yeah. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. We did our things we're looking forward to in 2023 special, and then we did our things we thought were great in 2022 with our good friend Rick.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention, and I'm sure Rick is aware of this, and probably you are too, one of the shows that he loved that was on Netflix, 1899, canceled by Netflix.
Yeah.
After one season. Fucking Netflix, man. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on at AMC, by the way, also, because AMC had another season of one of their shows that are not even going to air. They already filmed it. They just canceled it, and they stopped development on another show. They're like, they're like killing, getting rid of stuff. So the whatever is happening over there too. But then now the CEO of Warner Brothers is saying the bloodbath, if you want to call it that, is over. We're not going to cancel and shit can any other stuff, any other things. So we're just going to move forward now. So I guess that means we will see The Flash. Who knows?
Sounds like that's still coming out. They still
I haven't heard any weird Ezra Miller news over the holidays, so maybe he's just in a box somewhere.
They're like, okay, you're going to go away to a retreat, quote unquote, for a little while, and
I joke, but obviously he's having problems. He needs help, but
he does need help, and it sounds like maybe he is getting that, and that's good. So.
But who's not getting any help is Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is told to fuck off. He will not be Superman, which is a bummer. But
but now he's gonna usher in the Warhammer 40K.
He seems pretty happy about the Warhammer shit. So
here's my take on that. I'm pretty sure, because of the timing, and as well as I do, that expansive deals are not made like in a minute or overnight. I'm pretty sure he probably left Witcher. Probably was already disgruntled with it, but I don't think he left that for Superman. I think he left that for Warhammer, because he could have done Superman in between seasons of Witcher. That's not that big a deal.
Oh, yeah, they would have accommodated him.
So
it's not like he grew a mustache in The Witcher.
Yes, exactly. No, I think he left Witcher to do Warhammer, and was also like, hey, cool, that'll give me even more freedom to do Superman, and because he didn't seem horribly broken up. I mean, he did his little statement about, well, looks like I'm not going to continue as Superman, and thank you everybody, and blah blah blah. And then like the next day, it was like, yeah, he's gonna be executive producer for the Warhammer 40K franchise on movies and TV and all this stuff, and is going to star in it. And it's like, oh, that's why he left Witcher. Okay, I get it.
Well, that, and he's just, I'm sure he enjoyed playing Superman. It was probably really fun.
Sure.
And it maybe he, it's a privilege or whatever you want to say it, but he was extremely giddy, like a schoolboy, if you will, about the whole Warhammer stuff. Because you know that he's a super nerd and was like, fuck yeah, Warhammer, so I'm sure you're right.
He said in his statement for that he's like been a nerd for it and played the games like forever, and is super excited. So I'm sure that he's been working on that for a while. And
you know what? And I'm actually interested, because I don't play Warhammer, but if someone like that is that enthusiastic about it, then I'm interested in seeing it, because of his level of commitment is going to be it's going to be as good as it could possibly be if he's that enthusiastic about it. So obviously there's realities in filmmaking and whatever, but it's just that's encouraging.
And just the fact that he has quite a bit of control over it is like, that was being worked on for a while, and he was like, hell yeah, I'll leave Witcher for this, sure.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, Witcher was one of those things where it's a TV show. It's got to be grueling. And if you're an actor, your window for things is smaller, because, I mean, it's not like you're an actress, though. I mean, you can play like parts for 5 minutes and then you're considered too old. But he probably realized that was still a time commitment, and he really probably wanted, like you said, devote most of his time to Warhammer. But I'm sure he'll still do other movies. But I don't get the feeling that he has to go working tomorrow either. He's going to be fine. So.
I'm not too worried about him. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, like Superman, I'm sure he hadn't played Superman in a long time, and I'm sure he was at peace
except for that one time.
Yeah, but I'm sure he was at peace with, well, maybe I'll do this again, maybe I won't, and then
I feel like
Dwayne Johnson, pushed for him, and he did the cameo, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do this again, and then they were like, no. Yeah. Oh, sorry. But
that's okay. That was, I mean, I hate to say it, but that was the most interesting thing about Black Adam.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. So.
Sorry, The Rock, but
yes.
It's just,
sorry, Mr. The Rock.
Mr. The Rock. I like Dwayne Johnson a lot, but it was just not. It was not that interesting. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was like, okay, but I will admit to seeing Henry Cavill in the suit was pretty exciting. I was like, oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
I was like, yes, he's back, and
especially like after seeing the end of Peacemaker, when it was sort of that, but not really.
Right.
I'm like, let's get everybody back together, because I like those guys. They all did a really good job, I think, with the characters. Yes. I mean, he was a great Superman, and Momoa obviously was a great Aquaman, and even Ezra Miller was a great Flash, I thought. And a great Barry Allen, even better. And even Batfleck was fine.
Batfleck.
It was fine. But, we're never going to see any of them now, but that's fine.
I will, I'll admit that I have disappointment that some, or maybe all of them, aren't going to continue in those roles. But, again, I'm very excited to see and we'll find out here, I guess, this month, a little bit of the plans that James Gunn and Safran have. And I'm excited to hear, I guess the biggest part of my excitement for it is that they're going to lay out a 8 to 10 year plan. And, come on, kids, even if they say, oh yeah, this is all going to lead to this, the plans will change. I mean, Marvel plans changed, even though they put out things for,
it's going to be Michael Rooker as Superman, everybody.
That would be,
predicting it now.
I'd watch that.
John Cena as Superman? No, look at that one.
No, he's already Peacemaker. He can't be Superman.
Sure, he could.
But I'm interested to see what they do with it. And I think they'll make some fine films. Will they be the same as what we had? No, they won't. And
They'll have more macabre humor and blood.
Yes.
What I'll be interested in seeing is, because he's not going to make all the movies himself, obviously.
No.
I'll be interested in seeing how his sort of sensibility informs all the other films, because I think there is such a thing as a James Gunn movie now. If you watch his movies, they all have sort of similar characteristics in some ways. They're irreverent, and there's some comedy, some black comedy, whatever you want to call it, dark comedy. And lots of blood and gore, as much as you can in a Marvel movie, for sure. But Peacemaker is a lot more violent, obviously, and sort of Suicide Squad too. So will we see that in the DCU? No, I doubt it. But what will that do? What will those comic sensibilities do for the films? I mean, maybe that's one of the things that Warner is looking for. They're looking for somebody to not make them more like Marvel movies, but I suppose if you're going to follow a blueprint, it's not a terrible one, but inject whatever James Gunn isms you can into the projects. So
I think this will give the DC movies what I think they should have had from the beginning, is their own, their own stamp, because even though Zack Snyder...
That's what Snyder was trying to do.
Well, he was, but at the same time, they were like, oh, we're going to do this...
By stopping down the aperture and making everything really dark.
We're going to do this whole... Yes, we're going to do this whole shared universe and lead up to a team-up movie. We're going to basically, hey, Zack, as much as you can, follow the Marvel blueprint. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a mistake. It's like, because Marvel... Yeah. And I think it was a mistake... we'll get a lot of crap for this, but I think it was a mistake to let Snyder go as far as he did, because I've discussed this before. Marvel and DC comics, even back in the 60s and 70s, Marvel was always rooted in reality, and you could. The dream was you could go visit New York. You could see Spider-Man swinging by and see the Fantastic Four flying by and all this stuff. Right. And the DC comics were lighter and more fantastical and more almost a fairy tale kind of thing. Nobody cared how Superman could fly or why he could move planets and stuff like that. In the Marvel universe, it was always like, oh, how did they get their powers? How does that work? How come the costumes don't rip? Oh, they're made with unstable molecules. Oh, that makes sense. That's great. And so they were more science-based, whereas DC was more kind of fantastical and lighthearted and not so beholden to continuity and stuff like that. So I would hope, I don't know, I think that kind of falls within Gunn's wheelhouse, and not that I think they're going to go that far with it, but I think it'll be its own thing, as opposed to, well, we're going to Marvelize DC stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that part of the discussion was this. We want to kind of be more like that and basically follow the success, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's not why James Gunn took the job. James Gunn took the job because he wants to bring the James Gunnism, whatever that is, to the DC. But I think you're right. I think it'll be more light, or how did you say lighter? That actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
And hopefully more in line, like you were saying, with the sensibilities of DC, which is not grim,
right,
dark stuff. What I've always wanted to see was James Gunn's version of Green Lantern. I think that would be a really super interesting movie, and maybe he'll do a Green Lantern film.
I hope so.
I would really like to see that. I mean, there are some DC stories that get darker. I mean, like some of the Green Lantern stories, for example, get kind of dark. Blackest Night, for example, it gets dark. But yeah, I would like to see. Yeah, I'm just enthusiastic about any kind of genre stuff. I love superhero stuff. I love, whatever. I'm happy to have all of it. And I also like weird, stuff that we'll talk about too. But like I was watching over the holidays, I watched The Menu and I watched The Pale Blue Eye, which is like a weird sort of...
I want to see that. Yeah.
Sort of a 1-2, which they don't really have anything to do with each other. In fact, there's no even crossover cast-wise. But I like Ray Fiennes, I like Anya Taylor-Joy, and of course Nicholas Hoult as well. The Menu is a weird kind of, I don't know, how do I put it? It's just it's bizarre.
Is it a black comedy?
It is, but like super dark, like dark.
Okay.
But if you've ever worked in the food service industry, like in restaurants, you totally get a lot of the jokes, which I did get some of them because I was in the food industry long ago. Right, but you get it, and and it was just, they're all really good. Anya Taylor-Joy, terrific. Ray Fiennes, of course, fantastic. Nicholas Hoult, everybody in the movie actually was really good. And then Pale Blue Eye is a really interesting film, detective sort of thriller with Christian Bale investigating a series of grisly murders at the West Point Academy. But it takes place in like, I don't remember what the year was, but like way back in the day kind of thing.
Way back when.
Way back when Edgar Allan Poe was at West Point. So that's the other thing that's interesting.
Before the 1900s, kids. So it's before, old.
When people had to walk around with candles and lanterns so they could see anything.
Right.
It's very atmospheric. It's very cool movie. Not uplifting and not like nice, happy movie by any means, because it's pretty dark. But so that was a weird kind of combination to watch 1, 2 over a couple of days. But but there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's got to be things like Glass Onion came out. We could talk about that because I know you and I both watched that. Should we segue to Rian Johnson for a minute?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't like it as much as Knives Out, but I don't know what your opinion is, so I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Knives Out better. I think because I don't know why exactly. I mean, there were things about Glass Onion which I enjoyed a lot. It was easier to sort of follow the mystery, I think, in this case. With Knives Out, it was a little more complicated to me, more intricately plotted, if you will. But this one seemed more on the nose. But some people are complaining, it's like 2 different movies, and everything you saw at the beginning is whatever. And I like that twist. That was kind of interesting.
That's a mystery.
No, I agree. And it's an onion, idiots. It peels the layers back. I mean, he's showing you everything. But I guess the conclusion, the sort of finale, if you will, was less of a home run, or he didn't stick the landing as much, I think, in this one as he did in Knives Out. I thought that was better too. But anyway, I don't know. What's your thoughts, man?
I totally disagree with you.
Okay, that's fair.
I actually like this one better, and maybe it was because maybe it featured Benoit Blanc more.
It was definitely his POV this time. Yeah.
Yeah, we got more from him.
And everyone, in case you're wondering, Benoit Blanc is gay. So
yes, exactly, and he's married to Hugh Grant, which is really cool.
Are they married?
Yes,
they are. Okay.
Yes,
I thought they were just lovers,
domestic partners, I guess.
Domestic partners. It's just the guy's home baking a fucking cake while Benoit's in the bathtub. Guys, yes. He's not just dropping by to bake. He lives there.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
well, sorry, go ahead.
I think Hugh Grant in interviews has been like, "Yeah, I'm married to James Bond."
So but it's like, why? I mean, but Benoit wears like his mask and his jumper in the pool coordinate or whatever. It's like, come on, guys.
Yes,
the guy's clearly gay. But anyway, sorry.
No, I like this one a lot. I liked it more than Knives Out because it just seemed this one. I just liked the construction of this one and how it was like halfway through. It's like, okay, so here's what really happened. It felt. Here's the thing. Maybe it was because. It was an ensemble cast that, and I know the first one had this too, but they were basically invited to this. It felt a lot like Clue to me.
Sure.
It had that vibe going on, and the redirect and the switch in the middle I thought was cool, especially because my wife and I were both like, at the beginning of the movie, we're like, what the hell happened to Benoit Blanc? He's like this doofus now all of a sudden. What? That's weird. He's not like the first one. But then there was a reason for that. And it was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It makes sense.
No, Daniel Craig was great. I mean, he definitely, watching the movie a couple of times now, you definitely see what he was doing. It's quite clever. He's great. I mean, they're all really good. But
I just really liked it. And you're right. There are people that are like, oh, they had this whole complete misdirect and this complete twist and change. And I'm like, you've seen mystery stories before, right? That's what they do. I thought that was a really odd criticism. I'm like, what? That's what?
Yeah, that was clever. I liked that. I like the fact that it was well, I mean, it's an onion, right? Like I said, you're getting more layers as you go through,
and like it explains.
It explains more about what Benoit's doing and what he's trying to accomplish, and but it's just maybe because Edward Norton's character was like a weak antagonist. Maybe that's part of the thing that bothered me too. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I still enjoyed it. I was enjoying the ride. I love Dave Bautista. I'm sorry, the guy's awesome. And I understand why he wants to leave Marvel now forever and never come back, because he can do this kind of shit. He was playing totally against type. He was great, yeah. he wants to do more dramatic roles. I say give him all the dramatic roles. I stand by my recommendation too that he should just redo all of the Arnold Schwarzenegger, buddy comedies from the 80s and 90s.
Oh,
I could totally see him doing, Kindergarten Cop. I mean, I would totally watch that. But
yes.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just really liked it, and I liked. There were so watching it a second time. There's a lot more things I picked up on, like basically Yo-Yo Ma and which the cameos in this movie were like crazy. Even our pal Jeremy Renner got a shout out with his line of hot sauces, which was really great.
It was, yeah.
But Yo-Yo Ma essentially, when he talks about fugues and music at the beginning, explains the whole movie right there, which was like, whoa, okay, I didn't catch that the first time.
First of all, people didn't realize that was Yo-Yo Ma probably, and second of all, like, what is he talking about? It's like some random dude,
Right, and like there's a lot of subtle things, like how each of them solved the puzzle of the box, the literal mystery box right there, right?
Right.
How each of them solved that and what that meant for their characters and informed us who they were going into it. There's a lot of like Easter eggs here and I don't know. I
love the fact that Batista's mom was solving it. She's like, oh, it's a Fibonacci, whatever. But I was like,
he's like, Mom.
But the thing the great thing about that is that it tells you everything you need to know about Edward Norton's character. He's not that smart.
Right, exactly. And they kept leaving clues about that because he would mispronounce words, and everything that he talked about was, oh yes, I had a team make those boxes for me. Oh yeah, I had so and so design the glass onion. I had somebody do this, and it was like, wow, he didn't do anything. Even down to the like subtle nod in the flashbacks, he's wearing the same hairstyle and clothes that Tom Cruise's character in Magnolia wears, who's a con artist. Yeah. It was like, geez, that I don't know. Watch it again. Yeah. Watch it a couple more times, and I think you'll have
Frank T.J. Mackey.
Yes, I think you'll have a bigger appreciation.
I got that when I was watching it the first. I'm like, why is he dressed like Tom Cruise?
Yeah, exactly. I was too because I love Magnolia. Weird. I was like, wait a second, are they trying to say he's the same character?
Joe, respect the cock. I'm just saying.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well, that's it. I mean, he's not bright and he's not smart enough to that's the thing. I think that's one of the, well, not the issues, but one of the things I was like, well, he's not smart. He's not smart enough to be a good antagonist. Obviously, Benoit is ahead of him 100% of the time. And even if he's playing dumb, at the beginning or playing it differently, he is 100% knows what's going on and knows how to solve it. And that's why the movie ends the way it does. It doesn't end with a whodunit. It ends with a sticking it to the man more.
Burn it all down. Yeah.
Burn it all down, motherfucker. Yeah. So it's no spoilers, but it's like, and that to me is not as satisfying an ending to a mystery film, I guess, as the catching the killer is, because that's kind of what I'm conditioned to. And who done it? I've watched too many episodes of Columbo.
Yeah,
right.
Like, yes.
One more thing.
Yeah, one more question.
It's like someone's got to get nailed for the crime, and this guy gets, whatever happens, but it's not as satisfying, I guess, a conclusion for me at least as Knives Out or other mysteries. Mystery films that I've watched over the years, and even like Brick, which I still think is a textbook example of a great mystery film, and Knives Out too. Knives Out I liked. That's why I'm saying I liked it. I think more than this, but I didn't hate Glass Onion. It just didn't. It just didn't resonate at the end for me. That's all. It's not a bad movie. People should watch it for sure. But
I have seen, and we'll probably go a little bit into spoilers here, so please don't listen if you watch it. But I've seen criticism of the end where people are like, so Blanc just walked away and let her go nuts and potentially maybe even kill somebody. And they're like, that just seems to be against his character. And I'm like, in a way, I think, no, I don't think it does, because I don't think he is interested in. He's interested in solving the puzzle,
right, and
allowing the victim basically to have justice. I don't think he cares about so much laws and stuff like that, because some of the stuff he does is not.
Well, like he even says that he's like, I'm not the police. I don't. Right. So I present the information. Whatever happens, I'm
exactly.
it's not my job to get justice. My job is to figure. I mean, he doesn't say that exactly, but it's like my job is to figure out, what happened and explain it, but to turn it over to the cops. So maybe she does get arrested. Maybe she does get in trouble, or maybe whatever happens. But from Benoit's point of view, the case is closed, and he's on his way to somewhere else. He's got to get more matching jumpers or whatever he's going to do, but
and more silk
masks and stuff. Yeah. It's interesting too. The people have talked about this, but I noticed it's like you're really getting a lot about these characters by the masks that they're wearing at the beginning of the movie when you meet them all on the dock, and fucking like what's his face shows up to for like 2 seconds.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. It's like, what a weird cameo for Ethan Hawke. He's just like the mouth spray guy, and then apparently he was working nearby or something. He just wanted to come and be in the movie for an hour a day. But,
well, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing the dong. That was his. Right. That was his whole contribution to the movie, is the dong chime, which was like, what? That's so great.
You know what? He's probably busy. But, one of my favorite, I don't know if you've ever watched this before, but one of my favorite sort of suspenseful mystery movies is Death Trap. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
With Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal movie.
I kind of got the Death Trap vibe when I was watching this a little bit, because there's a lot of misdirect in that, and there's a lot of like point of view kind of stuff, which is what they're kind of playing with in Glass Onion, is like different POVs too. Especially the way it shifts up things sort of towards the middle. But yeah, Death Trap, if you've never seen it, Ira Levin's movie. It was a great play, of course, but it's a terrific film with Michael Caine and what's the actress who's in it? I can't remember her name.
I don't remember now.
Anyway, but Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve. I mean,
But you're right.
Now I have to look it up. Hold on.
Yes.
Yeah, Diane Cannon. I was right. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a terrific movie. Even the sort of. Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. It's just terrific. If you haven't seen it, but I'm sure, like Ryan Johnson has seen all these films too, and I feel like since he's not our age, but he's kind of older-ish, that a lot of his sort of idea of mysteries has been informed by a lot of these films over the years.
Yeah.
Which is why there's a lot of homage. I mean, Agatha, freaking Angela Lansbury's in the movie, for God's sake.
Her last role.
Yeah, her last role.
And Stephen Sondheim's too. I loved his little panel of people he plays Among Us with. That was just. The fact
funny. that he plays Among Us is pretty funny too. But he doesn't like being he doesn't like the mystery of Among Us, which is kind of funny.
I know. It's like what? But
well, because Benoit likes the facts. He likes to solve something. He doesn't like unknowns, right? He doesn't like. I don't want to say he doesn't like surprises, but maybe he doesn't not like surprises. So
he likes. I think he likes doing surprises. He likes being on the controlling end of it. He doesn't like things that kind of mess up his worldview. Which is why, like at the beginning, I'm like, this is just weird that he just seems to be fumbling through this. It's like he was almost Inspector Clouseau at the beginning, and then kind of, and then it was like, oh, that's an act too. It's like interesting. Yeah. He knows what's going on the whole time.
He does know, and he's sort of, I don't need an iPad, but that, pretty funny.
Yeah,
like okay. The glee he sort of takes. I think also, if you want to talk about Benoit Blanc as a character, I think he sort of takes a lot of pleasure in. I don't want to say he's a dick about it, like proving how smart he is, but he really enjoyed making Edward Norton's character feel stupid. Right. In that whole scene at the dinner table when he's like, "Oh, it's this and this and this and this," and it's done. And it's like it took 2 seconds to figure out because you're too stupid, basically.
Exactly. Yes, and that
I don't know why
that telegraphed the whole movie right there too. It's like he's already ahead of. He already knows what's going on. He's already ahead. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a stupid mystery too, and I love the fact that he'd already planned. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but the thing that Edward Norton's character plans for when the thing, it's like the special effects. I'm like, come on, dude, that's like cheesy ass.
But he didn't plan it; someone else did.
Right, someone else set it up. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I would say that if you're going to watch Glass Onion, you should watch it at least twice, maybe more, because you'll get more stuff in it.
Yeah,
and again, I can't
on you, and
it does. It does. And my problem with it is not that it's not a well constructed film or a well done film. All the actors are terrific in it. I think everybody does a great job. It's just I need more. I guess for me, I just need more of a this is the killer and this is and then explaining. I like that the Agatha Christie shit where Hercule Poirot just goes, "Here's exactly what happened. I will tell you." I kind of like that mystery.
We're getting more of those, so
we are getting more of those.
Best of both worlds.
This definitely reminded me of Agatha Christie, obviously too, because you can't really talk about mysteries without Agatha Christie.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like you get a bunch of people in an island and someone dies and. Well, even like he says, it's like putting a gun on the table and turning off the lights. It's like, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is exactly what Edward Norton does later.
Yeah.
Or not Edward Norton, obviously, but...
yeah. No,
So he's basically... I also think people are probably thinking it's too, I don't want to say political, but it's too, like, woke or whatever people call it.
I guess. Whatever. But.
Well, it's like, oh, you don't like Elon Musk, or you don't like this, you don't like whatever, and, you're poking fun at those guys and making them seem stupid. I'm like, well, maybe they are stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, why not do that?
Well, what is the... Yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, when did it become... wrong to question people. It's like
right.
I'm not saying you should be a dick about it. I'm just saying taking everything at face value just because someone has been successful in some areas you don't know the reasons for that necessarily. It may not be because there's some kind of genius rocket scientist. It might just be luck, or it might just be having a lot of money already, or who knows.
Right.
Whatever it is, just because someone's made a lot of money or seems to have made a lot of money, it doesn't mean they're a good person or a smart person or worthy. It doesn't mean they didn't rip off shit off a napkin. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
I don't want to spoil it. But.
Look at Edison. So
exactly. Or a lot of the people that you see or you've heard about in history that are credited with inventing things, some of them just stole that shit left and right.
Or they just hired the right people and
their
name got associated with it. So
right, it's like the history books. The winners write the history books, right? It's like the people who have the best PR, the people who have the more influence, and a lot of times I think also in the past a lot of unscrupulous white dudes. I mean, I hate to say it, but
if you want to get into it, Musk didn't start Tesla. Two other guys did. And
two other actual engineers.
He came in and bought it, and they went on and did something else, and now he's like, oh, he's a genius. It's like, no, he just knows how to. Well, I wouldn't even say he knows how to spend money correctly, but
there's not. We don't have to get into this, but there's not. There is some art to and intelligence to knowing what to buy and how to exploit it. I'm not saying that's not smart in some ways. I'm just saying, just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at everything.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway.
But I would be happy with. Benoit Blanc movies going forward, as well as you mentioned Poirot, and I'm actually a huge fan of now I can't think what's his name that's doing the Poirot movies.
I know you're talking about, but I'm totally forgetting too.
Jeez, SeaWorld.
Kenneth Branagh.
I will watch those as long as he keeps making them too, because I think he does.
What we need is a Benoit Blanc, Hercule Poirot team up.
Oh, yeah.
Except they're in the wrong centuries, but it's fine.
Sure, but it's movies. We can figure it out.
It could totally work. Benoit Blanc invents a time machine.
No. What would work is if there is a mystery or a murder mystery that is... See, I'm writing this for you right now. So
sure,
it's a murder mystery that they both investigated that are exactly the same. So Blanc is reading notes that they're related, like it's the same family or something, and so he's reading notes that Poirot left, and so we get to see him investigating it in the past as well. So
that is interesting. Yeah, it'll never happen, but it's
but it would be fun. But
it would be fun. But I guess you don't have to put. I guess there's room for two different detective franchises.
I would say, I would hope that these movies and other movies that he's done show that Rian Johnson is a pretty good filmmaker. I like his movies. I even liked Last Jedi. I thought that was pretty fantastic. But people are, because of their Star Wars fanboy attitudes, are like, Rian Johnson is terrible. He shouldn't be allowed to make movies. And I'm like, that's not true. So
no, I'm happy to see more mystery type movies from him, and I'm happy to see more, a lot of different things. I think that people should be able to make things if they do a good job and they're successful. I think The Glass Onion was a successful thing for Netflix. So I imagine they'll just keep letting him do stuff. So why not?
Yep.
But whether he'll get another giant mainstream film to do, I don't know. But maybe he doesn't care about that. Maybe he just wants to make his detective movies, and that's cool. Go for it, man. So
I did find it interesting that Bautista was talking about kind of because he did, was it Spectre or one of the Bond films? He was a bad guy for a few minutes, and he said the difference between Daniel Craig doing a Bond movie and doing the Knives Out movie or Glass Onion was substantial. He was like, he was really on point and stressed out and, totally focused and everything on James Bond. And he seemed to be more relaxed and having fun with Benoit Blanc. And I'm like, I'm sure that's true because there's a lot of pressure there being Bond,
Well, it's just a totally different movie. It's like a $150 million, action franchise movie where you're the main focus of every scene practically.
Right.
And then there's this where it's an ensemble in some ways. I mean, you're just like sitting around in a bathing suit, solving crimes. Yeah. Or in a bathtub, or whatever. It's like, I can totally see that being the case.
Yeah.
Well, like I saw an interview with Daniel Craig. He's like, I'll take any role if the hours are good. So it's like,
there you go. Exactly.
Whatever. Well, they were talking to him about, some interview was asking him about if he was Baldur or the Bold or the Brave or whatever, Thor's brother, because there was apparently some footage that came out of a green screen thing where Scarlet Witch apparently killed that character, and people were saying, the speculation was that Daniel Craig was playing that character, and he kind of like and covered his face with his coffee and stuff and sort of blew it off. But my feeling is that he was in Multiverse of Madness as that character, and apparently there was going to be also a Magneto as well, because there was a Michael Fassbender stand-in.
Right.
This is the rumors. So if that's the case, then that means that Scarlet Witch was killing her own dad, which is a bummer. But anyway,
wow, yeah, that is.
I'm sure they want to wait to release they wanted to wait to get mutants later, right? They wanted to have that all come together because Magneto is not. They're not going to bring Magneto into a. Although they had Charles.
Yeah, so they did have Xavier. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a multiverse, Joe, and I still think we're going to see Krasinski as Reed Richards.
In the Fantastic Four film, you think?
I still think it's going to be him. Yeah, I really do. I don't know why. It's perfect casting. Why wouldn't you do it?
He says no. He says it was just.
Of course, he says no.
He did it as a favor, but.
Well, you get him and Emily Blunt together. I think they should just cast both of them.
I would watch that movie. So.
Maybe they don't want to work together.
Maybe they hate each other.
Well, no, I mean he directs her, but maybe it's different, right? Maybe they don't want to work as equals on the screen.
It's like we get along great at home. We don't want to ruin it by bringing
acting together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, he directed her in 2 movies. So
that's true.
In The Quiet Place 1 and 2. Maybe there wasn't a lot of talking on the set, so it's like.
Well, yeah, they were. It was
very quiet.
We can't talk at home because we have to stay in character.
Well, how do you really, you don't really need to direct her very much probably, or
I would imagine not.
I feel like she can do whatever, so.
She knows her craft.
She knows her stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would, I'm definitely excited to see more Benoit Blanc movies. I'll watch whatever else Rian Johnson does. It was really good. What else did you see over the holidays that we should talk about?
Well, like I said, I saw that Pale Blue Eye movie. I watched. The new season of Letterkenny came out. I watched that.
Yes, of course. That's a Christmas present every year. That's the most important one.
It bothers me that it's only 6 episodes, though.
I know. It's like you can watch it in an afternoon and then you're done.
I did. I was like, oh, it's done. Oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like this season kind of moved things forward much, but then I guess it doesn't really have to because that's the whole point. Nothing really happens in Letterkenny.
Right.
It's basically status quo.
Right.
I am still surprised though to see characters smoking on TV. It still is weird to me.
Yeah, that's because we don't do that here in America. So
like in one scene, all 3 of the guys are sitting on the balcony at the house or whatever, the farm. They're all smoking.
Yep.
And and there's a whole scene about their first dart. They call them darts, right?
Yes.
It's like what was your best dart? And and Derry's like, the first time I had sex is the first time I had a cigarette. And it's like, wow, well that makes sense. But it's like. I don't. It just seems odd because I don't like smoking, and so it kind of turns me off a little bit that they smoke. But But I was glad to see all the characters. It's funny to see all these people that you kind of know. Not you don't know them obviously because they're just characters, but it's like familiar faces. I enjoy these people. They're funny together.
Kind of check in with them once a year, and
yeah. I'm sure there's gonna be more, and there'll probably be another Shoresy season. I'm sure because Shoresy does make an appearance in this one.
I know that was like, whoa, hey, Shoresy's there. Cool. Okay.
Well, you can't have a Letterkenny episode in a hockey rink without Shoresy showing up.
Well,
right?
And what's funny is they went back to not showing his face, even though we prominently see it in the Shoresy show, but. Right. They went back, for obvious reasons, but still, it was like, all right, that's pretty funny. But
yeah, I like the scene when he's dressing down the two guys in the penalty box, and you can see the rest of the people cracking up in the background.
Yes, exactly.
They just can't handle it. They just look. One guy looks directly at the camera, and and laughing. I was wondering about. Do you remember the scene when they're in the church and he's talking about who stole the money?
Yes.
And the character, the girl, I'm totally drawing a blank on her name, but she basically sits the entire time. So I was wondering because she's in Shoresy, right? That character.
Oh yeah.
So I was wondering what's going on with her.
Tannis.
She didn't move around much. I was wondering if she had an accident or something because she was sort of sitting there.
They were all sitting down pretty much.
Well, they were except for the skids that came in.
Right.
But,
so
I remember. I think Roald should have his own show too. By the way.
I think so. I like him better than what's his face. Roald's awesome, but
he's awesome. Yeah, that guy is just a terrific. It's a terrific character. I'm sure he just loves playing it because it's so weird and funny. But
this season, I thought they started touching on some of the tropes of their own show. Like they pointed out. So, Coach. Anyway, by the way, what is your actual name? And they asked that a couple times with Coach, what's your name?
They never talk about it.
But, they never brought up his name before. They're like, yeah, we know your wife's name, but what's your name? It's like, all right, that's pretty funny.
He's like, I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's interesting the characters they bring in. Like Coach was not even in the show for a while, and then all of a sudden he's kind of prominent.
Yeah.
And what's his face? The auctioneer guy makes an appearance again. It's Dickens.
Yes.
He's like Charles. He's bummed out that people don't understand who Charles Dickens is. Yeah. And then of course they go to the family, I guess the Mennonites or whatever.
Yes.
By the way, that's a different actress. I think now it's not the same actress playing the mother.
No, it's the same one on the last few. Yeah.
I thought it was a different person this time because that was what's her face who was on Walking Dead, right? Sarah Wynn Caley's. I thought it was.
No,
are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it looked exactly like her.
Maybe in the early seasons, but I'm pretty sure it's the same actress playing the mom.
Well, anyway, there's a lot of innuendo.
That one is wow. I like the fact that there is even though they do it in other scenes. The amount of innuendo from the Mennonites, the first Squirrely Dan's trying not to laugh. Wayne's just shaking his head, and Daryl's just disgusted. I think it's their attitudes towards it is pretty funny. It's great.
So what do you think is going to happen with Letterkenny? Do you think they're going to shake things up at all? Will Daryl get a girlfriend, or Squirrely Dan will actually get a? I thought Squirrely was your first name. That was funny too.
Yeah, I thought Squirrely was
your first name's not Squirrely. That's
yeah.
You think anything? I mean, because Wayne's got a girlfriend, right? And
yeah, he's had a few, but he's the main character, of course.
But she's the same girlfriend from last season too, so she's staying on for a couple of seasons, right?
Daryl had a girlfriend for a while, and May still with one of the
Anik or whatever her name's.
Yeah, and Squirrely Dan, I think.
Oh, Squirrely Dan's got a sweetie. That's right.
Yeah, his Miss Patricia's. The counselor he was seeing or whatever. I think they're an item. So yeah, they are. We just don't see them.
It's not the psychic? I thought the psychic was his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or the psychic, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, all right. So everybody's got girls then. That's good.
Yeah.
Not that they have to, but...
And even Katie sometimes has a girlfriend. That's all right. So
that's all right. Yeah. Miss Katie.
Yeah.
To you.
Miss Katie.
Anyway.
But, you're right. It didn't really take anything for it, but the show just cracks me up every time.
Well, I think that's the whole point of it, too, is that even though it's 3 hours of story, basically, right? Because each episode's a half hour, but nothing really, it doesn't really move the needle very much. Things stay the same in Letterkenny. they don't really change. These are their problems, but it's
right.
like their problems are kind of small in some ways, like finding the law. I did learn a lot about dogs in that one episode.
Well, that's true, but I think it's, that's a good distinction you made right there. And most, they're parodying those shows that are like, this is the town of blah, blah, blah. This is everyone's story. And it's like, no, we're not focusing on their story. This is their problems. It's like, okay. But
but I don't think there's going to be anything revelatory.
No.
It's like, oh my God, Squirrely Dan has cancer, and that's not going to happen.
I would expect if they finally are like, okay, so this next season is going to be our last season, I would expect that they will pull out a lot of that in a joking fashion to kind of make fun of all the tropes of shows that end with big things and stuff like that, and it'll just basically end with them sitting around the produce stand, and that's it.
Yeah, like Wayne will go off to L.A.
Yeah.
To be an actor, but yeah, what will happen? Yeah, I don't know what will happen. I think the only person that has a chance of getting out of Letterkenny is what's her face? Oh, I'm forgetting her name now. You know what I'm talking about, the waitress.
Oh, Gail?
No, not Gail. Gail's there.
Bonnie McMurray.
Bonnie McMurray, yeah, she's the only one because Bonnie McMurray got super thin. I don't know if you noticed that, but she's definitely been working out or whatever. But I think she's getting ready to leave town. Basically,
I just like that the whole show. Anytime she's basically calls them all out on their idiocy.
Right. Well, I think it'll turn out that Bonnie McMurray is like the smartest one in the whole town. Basically.
Oh yeah, she clearly
she's the only
is.
one. She's going to leave town and go and have a career somewhere. I think she's just going to like be smart and get out of Letterkenny. She'll be the only one who ever escapes.
Yes, exactly.
Letterkenny. Yeah, Gail is pretty funny too. I'm not sure I still am not quite sure what she's doing as an actor. Like, what exactly is Gail's deal?
I know.
Like all the like weird sort of like you know what I'm talking about. But I think it was just like, what are you going to do? Because she started off not as an extra, but kind of like as a supporting player. It's like, what are you going to do to differentiate yourself, maybe?
Right.
And I'm going to move my body all like weird all the time and stuff. And now it's like her thing. But there was some commentary. What would you how she's basically the only black person in the entire show.
That was like great that she made that. It's like, whoa, okay.
What would your name be? Was it Token? No, not Token, but
yes.
I remember. Yeah, it's like basically the same. Yeah, basically the same thing though.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I like Letterkenny. It's funny. It doesn't have to do anything, amazing.
Nope.
It just like you said, it's a check-in with the characters, and it's fun to sort of just watch it again and see what's going on. And I found that it's like, oh, I'm happy to see these guys again. They're all just so weird, but I enjoy it. So
exactly, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I watched. I'm sure we'll get back into a sort of a regular rhythm as going forward this year. But it's just the holidays were kind of a blur in a way. I didn't watch as much stuff. I watched a lot of stuff that I'd seen before. Like I said, I watched Die Hard again, of course, and I watched comfort movies. Love Actually, which I watched during the holidays.
Oh yeah, that's we do a Love Actually and Die Hard, not necessarily in that order every year, but we watch them both back to back.
Yeah, back to back to back to back. But
yes.
But yeah, I was kind of in a weird mood this holiday, so I was watching some like weirder stuff. Like I said, the menu was weird.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm not really fully back to the theaters. There's some things like Avatar and stuff like that I'll go see.
You saw Avatar, right? Did you enjoy it?
I did a lot, and
okay, yeah, I'm not going to go to the theater.
Eventually, when you see it, I think we'll dissect it then. But I mean, the other thing too is over the holidays, a lot of the shows we talked about are either between seasons or on break, so there's not like a lot of new stuff to watch, which is why like I went back and watched American Graffiti, and there's a couple other older movies that I hadn't watched in a while. I'm like, you know what? I think I'll watch those, and greatly enjoyed them. But
it's actually I can't. I was working my way through the Indiana Jones movies. That's
nice.
That's what I was doing.
Yes.
So I went back because we talked about Crystal Skull, and I was like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go back and watch that. And so I went back to the beginning and started with Raiders and went all the way through Crystal Skull. And Crystal Skull actually is not as dumb as I remember. As I thought. No, I don't know if I said it was or not, or if we agreed or disagreed or whatever. But watching it now, I'm like, oh, it's not so bad. Even Mutt doesn't bother me. That's kind of on the nose, obviously. But it's just, although I guess not really a Mutt if you think about it.
Right. Right.
And they do have an interesting sort of way to deal with him. But I also know way more about Shia LaBeouf than I want to know, and so it kind of I don't want to say taints it, but it's like he seems like more of a dick now than I thought before, and that's fine. But yeah, I wonder what they're going to do in the next movie. Will they address the fact that character is his son? I mean, will they address that at all?
Mangold said that there is. They do talk about the character in the new movie. So
okay, well they kind of have to, right? I mean, because he's got a kid. Yeah. He's like they can't just gloss over it. I mean, I guess they can.
I think that I really firmly believe Crystal Skull fell victim to, and I'm not saying it's like the greatest movie ever made. I highly enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really good Indiana Jones movie. I think it fell victim to, much like any of the sequels nowadays for franchises, that, well, that's not the Indiana Jones movie I wanted to see.
Sure.
And it's like, well, they weren't making it for you, and they didn't consult you, and you're not making them. So, I get it. I don't begrudge people going, I didn't really like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. But to, like, go to the lengths, like with anything, of how it's a, blight on reality, and anyone who likes it is a horrible human being. It's like, it's just, and I hate to use this term, and I know it's going to get a lot of derision, but it's just a movie. I mean, back off, man. It's not like...
Back off, man.
It's not Speaker of the House or anything like that. It's just a movie.
Easy.
Take it easy there, right? So...
No, you're right. And I think I went into it thinking it was going to be another, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was going to be like it was a different time when it came out, and I was a different person. Maybe I'm more tolerant now. I think I had different expectations. But also, I think part of the thing that bothered me about it was like Indiana Jones is old, and I was like,
yes,
I don't like the fact that Harrison Ford is older because that means I'm older too, maybe.
Right.
Or I just didn't. It wasn't the Indiana Jones that I fell in love with, if that makes sense. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's what Harrison Ford. That's what Indiana Jones looks like. It's like Han Solo, old in the movies. Like that's not Han Solo. That's an old dude. I don't know who that is.
Right.
In some ways, and so I kind of had to put that aside, and it didn't bother me this time. And I enjoyed it a lot more because even the fridge stuff is like, okay. If you take it in the context of the film, it's already a movie about space Nazis or whatever. So why nitpick it?
Well, if you take it in the context of the other crazy things that happen in the other movies, maybe not so much Raiders, but the other two, it's like the fridge thing is kind of on brand.
It is. Did you see Temple of Doom? They fall out of an airplane in a raft.
Right, exactly. So I'm like...
And that didn't bother anybody. So
yes.
I would say that it's still... Crystal Skull is a better film for me than Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom is probably the worst of the Indiana Jones movies for me.
I would agree.
But it's the thing. Raiders of the Lost Ark, because I'm just going to call it that, not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
Is just like we were talking about earlier with, and I don't know if that was on the show, if that was before, but we were talking about how it was more raw in a way. It was more a product of its times. It was it had an indie spirit. I use that term on purpose. Like Star Wars or like American Graffiti, like you were talking about how you watch that. It's just more of a, it just, I don't know what to think about. It's more of a movie. It's more cinematic in some ways, and it's more of the times, and it's more entertaining and just better. Then Temple of Doom was just not a great sequel because everyone was pissed off during that one. Obviously, Harrison Ford and George Lucas were both, or not Harrison Ford, but Spielberg and Lucas were both miserable in their lives, and hated their lives, whatever, hated women, whatever. So
well, and
so Kate Capshaw's character got kind of fucked over, but and then where was Marion? But obviously it was a prequel to Raiders.
Sure, but still.
Anyway, but we did get Short Round, who's still cool.
It was a prequel. We could have still had Indy picking up Marion from high school. Oh, wait, sorry. No,
that's not good. That's not cool.
Well, so here's my criticism of both overall of the Star Wars films and the Indiana Jones series of films. Both had initial films, debut films that George Lucas and also with the Indy movies, Spielberg talked about. They made movies in the flavor of the old movie serials that they were a fan of as kids. And they both felt like that. But they didn't continue that aesthetic going forward, I felt like. So
no, they had much more success, I think. Like especially with Star Wars, it's like he made this sort of indie film. Because, I mean, Star Wars to me feels like an indie movie because it was cheap, for one thing, back in the day. And it feels like it's, there's a lot of handheld cameras, a lot of this. It's like it's very, very raw in some ways and unpolished.
Yes.
But then subsequently, he starts, he starts believing his own hype or whatever. And his success was kind of a problem, I think, for later Star Wars films. And, as George exerted more influence, maybe.
Yeah, Raiders had that very much movie serial, Lawrence of Arabia kind of epic feel to it, and lost that going forward. And, for better or for worse, and I still love the Indiana Jones movies, but it's like, your original concept kind of went away because it almost felt like, and maybe it was the case with the subsequent Star Wars movies and subsequent Indiana Jones movies, that it was somebody else making what they thought those movies should be. And it's like, it lost a little bit, but they're still good movies. But just, you're right, something about Raiders, and I think it needs to be Raiders of the Lost Ark and not Indiana Jones. And it's just something raw about it. And people argue, well, the character wasn't fully formed then. And I'm like, but that would have been interesting to see the Indiana Jones as he was in Raiders moving forward, because I think he became, I know people love Last Crusade, and I think it's a great movie too, but it's a campy movie, and there's parts of it that are too campy for me. And
that was a reaction to Temple of Doom, mostly, I would imagine. Sure. Like, Temple of Doom was too dark and too bad, and the kids in slavery and getting, eating hearts and shit. It's like, well, we'll make a lighter movie.
And very racist, and
with Nazis, a lighter movie with Nazis.
Yes, because that always lightens up a movie.
It does. There'll be book burnings and stuff, and
it'll be fine. It'll be like remember.
Exactly. The problem with Crystal Skull, or not Crystal Skull, with Last Crusade, there was no monkeys. That was the problem. No Nazi monkeys. There's still humor in Raiders. It's just more subtle, I think.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like we were saying, Last Crusade was definitely a reaction to the second movie, and definitely like we gotta go a different way. It was too dark. It was too this and too that. We gotta, and we're in a better mood now. Let's get Sean Connery to play Harrison Ford's dad, because that's fun.
Even though he was only like 10 years older, 15 years older.
Maybe, Junior. And let's bookend like every tiny bit of story beat of all of Indiana Jones's history as a kid in like the first 10 minutes.
Yes,
like you even said that, I think, and I agree with you. It's like let's show every trope of the character and how it happened in this one adventure.
Right.
Which is weird, but whatever. It's like, oh, now he got this, now I got the hat, now I got the scar, now I got this, now this belongs in a museum.
Connect the dots and
connect
a 5-minute
fucking
action sequence.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to River Phoenix, who I think was a terrific young Indiana Jones.
Sure.
But it's just it was silly and honestly unnecessary. You didn't need to know that. The only point to that was to show the indifference of his father.
Right.
It's like, I'm busy, fuck off. And they didn't need that at all. It's like they could have just established that with the two of them as they went on in the movie as adults. They didn't have to have that as a kid.
Right.
I'm sure that was George's idea. Let's show Indy as a child because that's fun.
Yes.
But it was not necessary for the character to show that stuff. It would have been maybe more interesting to show how he developed these sort of things and how he got the whip and all that stuff as the movie went on, instead of sandwiching it all in one thing. But whatever. I mean, it is.
Or they could have done that like from the beginning. Each movie has like, which I guess is kind of what the Young Indiana Jones show did. Right. But it's like each of the movies could have had a segment, or if you wanted to really do it like serials, each one started off with Young Indy, and here's the adventure where he got the whip and stuff like that. But
there was already a TV show for that. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't think it was needed at all. They could have taken that sequence out of the movie, and it would not have affected the rest of the movie at all.
But I guess the other part of it is that who cares why he uses a whip? He's a badass who uses a fucking whip.
Right.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, he uses a whip to knock the gun out of the guy's hand. He's a fucking kick-ass guy. You don't need to know why he does it. He just does it because he's fucking cool.
Exactly.
You don't need to know why. You don't know why. You don't need to know anything. Why does he have a scar? Who cares? Why does he hate snakes? Because he fucking hates snakes. Who cares?
It'd be like if we had a James Bond movie that had a sequence of young James Bond. And in a 10-minute adventure, here's how he got used to using gadgets. Here's how he learned to drive. All this stuff, and it's like we don't need to know that.
He was in the SAS, so he learned all that shit in the SAS. Yeah.
Bond's just awesome. That's all we need to know. Indiana Jones is just awesome. That's it. That's all we need to know.
He's just awesome. He's a fucking mercenary adventurer who has principles, but not that many principles. He still steals from grave sites. He puts them in a museum because that's his thing. But he's basically the same as Belloc in some ways. Just Belloc is doing it for the money, and Indy's in it for the knowledge of the adventure. But he's still in it for the adventure too.
Right.
But that's the difference. Yeah, you don't need to know. Raiders of the Lost Ark, at the beginning when he goes and gets the idol, that tells you everything you need to know about Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
He's good at solving puzzles. He's smart about darts flying out of the wall. He has a whip. He fucking has a map.
You don't need to know why. Yeah.
You don't need to know why. He has a scar. You don't need to know why.
Right.
He's got a backstory. I mean, you get some backstory with Marion and stuff like that. And she could have even said, oh, that's, whatever. She could have mentioned the scar. I mean, who knows? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think that was just I don't want to say fan service, but I think it was George's ideas. I want to build up interest in my TV show. So
it would almost been better if like Marion was like, I haven't seen you since that, they could have done it subtle. She's like, I haven't seen you since we got into that big bar brawl a few years ago, and he kind of like absentmindedly rubs the scar, right? That would have told you right there, oh, well, that's where he got it, right? That would have been an even better story than he's...
Maybe. Or again, I really just think it doesn't matter. Because
it doesn't. That's true.
He's a mysterious badass, and I think that's... I was thinking that as I was watching him, he's like Rick from Casablanca. It's like, you don't need to know why Rick is the way he is. You don't even see the guy for the first 15 minutes. And he's just a mysterious character who maybe fought in the war or was a mercenary. That comes out in dialogue a little bit.
Right.
I mean, obviously that's a totally different movie, but they couldn't afford to shoot all that stuff. But I just think it was just, it was kind of unnecessary. But I still like the movie, and I still like Crystal Skull more. That was the whole point of this discussion that I liked Crystal Skull more than I thought I was going to. Even the alien shit and Shia LaBeouf's character, and although I kind of felt like he was in a different movie sometimes. I think that was more him more than anything else.
Probably.
Kind of just doing whatever he wanted to do at the time. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do picks, because this is already another long episode. Sorry. Like all the stupid talking about Christmas at the beginning. I might just cut that out. We'll see.
No.
Fuck the holidays, man. No, I'm kidding.
Screw that.
So screw that. Bah humbug, right? What was your pick, Mr. Cratchit?
A Christmas Carol. No, I'm just kidding. So my pick is
Three ghosts will visit you.
Yes. My pick is a show that's on Acorn TV, which is a subscription service. Another one.
Acorn.
That has a lot of non-American TV shows on it. But it's a show called My Life is Murder. It just concluded its third season. Lucy Lawless stars in it, and she is a former cop who's a private investigator who bakes bread and solves crimes. But it's, I don't know, it's just really well done.
Sold.
Yeah, see? It's shot in its first season. It takes place in Australia. And then the character and the show moved to New Zealand in the second season. And going forward. But it's great. She has a cop friend, perhaps more than a friend in the second and third season.
What?
That, basically has cases that, he can't investigate or like, open and shut. Oh, this is an accident. But he's like, yeah, there's something else going on here. And so he kind of always lures her in with like a hook for the case that it's like, one of them was like, yeah, this guy was murdered, appears to have died under a mysterious, it's a locked door room mystery, basically. And she's like, she's always like, oh, I'm not really interested. And then he comes out with the zinger and she's like, oh, I got to look into this. And she has a plucky computer nerd assistant and stuff like that. But they do really different things with the stories. And I think just the fact that it doesn't take place in Vancouver, which is obvious, in every show, the scenery is different, I guess is what I'm getting at. So it looks much different. Lucy Lawless is great because her character is kind of like not really social and is very sure of herself and in ways a lot like Columbo that you mentioned earlier, because she does the friendly kind of talk and then like, okay, thank you. Oh, there's one more question I have. And is usually like this very pointed question that floors the person she's asking. So it's just a really...
Why did you kill that man?
Yeah, basically it's like, yeah, I just have one more... Did you kill your husband? And it's like, whoa,
yeah.
What?
When you killed your husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there a lot of blood?
Yes, exactly. So it's.
But one thing we should note is that Renee O'Connor does make an appearance in the show.
She does, of course she does.
Yeah, of course she does. So there you go.
She's not an ongoing character or anything, but she does.
For you Xena fans out there,
and William Shatner actually makes a guest appearance. That's
the Shat.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. Nice. But no, it's just good. It's a great show. It's a good show, and it's there's only been a few episodes where I've been like, oh, so it's that person is the one that is the murderer. And that's only because I've watched way too many of these kind of shows. But usually in these kind of shows, it's always because they're either shot in Vancouver or in the U.S. You know the guest star that has been in everything. It's like, oh, okay, that's going to be the killer. And then there usually are, right? In this show, I can't pick that out because I don't know the troupe of guest characters in New Zealand and Australia, and they're like foreign to me. So I'm like, well, maybe it's this person, maybe it's this person. So it's I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good show. Lucy Lawless is just awesome.
No, she's great. Well, the thing about like shows in Vancouver, it's always and also you see a lot of like the same people. Yeah, like you said, recurring in things. But now I see anything shot in Vancouver, you end up seeing like Battlestar Galactica actors show up and stuff. Yeah. Like, oh, that guy. I remember that guy. You see, who's the guy who was in, boy, I can't remember his name. But anyway, Alessandro Giuliani, he's been in all that stuff. Like he was in Superman even. I'm like, oh, that guy was in Battlestar Galactica. And also there was two Battlestar Galactica alumni in that one. The other guy, Temaho Panicat, was also in that as well.
Yeah, he shows up in things all the time.
He does.
And usually it's like, okay, he's going to be the bad guy. Unless he's a recurring character, then he's not. You're right. So we don't have that with this one. So it's a little bit more like, ooh, what's going on here? So
and you see Rika Sharma and a bunch of stuff is shot in Canada. Yeah. But who's the main guy that you always see?
Well, Mark Shepard has been in everything.
Mark Shepard, yeah, definitely. But no, there's the one guy whose name is totally escaping me. But he was in everything. Boy, anyway, it doesn't matter, I guess. But you know who I'm talking about. Callum Keith Renee.
Oh, yes. Especially if he shows up, you're like, oh, he's the killer. He's the bad guy.
It's Leoben again, yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny because that's a comment. Well, we even made this with this show because of Lucy Lawless, but it seems like something every week that we watch, more than one things, where like we make the comment, well, hey, everybody, look out. That's a Cylon. They're the bad guy, right?
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, him and also Rick Worthy, too, shows up in all that stuff, too. But that's okay. They're good actors, and it's just nice to see them. But, because Lucy Lawless obviously has a Battlestar Galactica connection. That's what makes it. But she's a Cylon, too, right? So
So we're like, oh, careful. That's a Cylon. Look out. So.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because, I didn't watch Xena or Hercules really religiously. I did watch Xena more than I watched Hercules, because fuck Kevin Sorbo.
He's Xena, yes.
But I did watch Xena more. But so I did, I don't know the gang of actors like you said, the Canadian gang who show up in a lot of stuff in Vancouver. But yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It sounds like fun. I like her. So
yeah, it's really good. You should definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. Anyway, so your pick.
My pick is a device. It was a Christmas present to me. It's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten as a present. It was very expensive, not very expensive, but pretty expensive. It's from a company called Breville. It's a smart oven air fryer pro.
Ooh.
So basically, this thing does everything. It's an oven. It's a convection oven. It's an air fryer. It'll be a box that you can like do proofing for your bread because it'll sit to a certain temperature.
Nice.
But I basically use this thing. It's a toaster. I basically use this thing every day to make toast or whatever. I've also baked pizza in it. I've also baked cookies because it's a convection oven. I've never had a convection oven before. And if people understand what convection is, it just means it blows the air around, the hot air. But it's amazing how well that it does making things like baking in particular, because I like to make bread. I like to make, the cookies turn out fantastic. The pizza turned out great. It's just, you can fit like a 12-inch pizza in it. The thing is huge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's super cool. It's one of the nicest gifts I've ever gotten. It was from my in-laws. It was on my Amazon wish list. I was like, no one's going to get that, but I'll just put it on there anyway. But I've been using it every day. Plus, conveniently, our toaster broke right before Christmas. It's the same toaster I've had for like 15 years, and it finally gave up the ghost. But the thing's awesome, and the fact that it does so many things and does it well. I mean, it does take, if you put toast in, it takes like, if you're doing like 4 or 5 or 6 pieces of toast, sometimes we do a lot of toast because there's, people like toast around here.
Sure.
It takes 5 or 6 minutes to make that much toast. And I don't know if that was how much it took with the toaster, but then I'm getting 6 pieces of toast instead of 2. So
well, see, there you go.
It seems like a good deal. But yeah, it does everything. I could fit my thing for sourdough bread in it. I mean, it's just, the thing is huge, but yeah, it's an amazing device. I highly recommend it if you got an extra $400 lying around.
Who doesn't like well-made toast? I mean, come on.
I like toast. I mean, I like I said, I baked in this thing. I've made the cookies turn out terrific. But convection, it's kind of a trick a little bit, but it does a really great job with baking stuff in particular. Because it's got the cool LED lights which light up and get hot, but then they cool down a bit, and then the air gets circulated around. It just does it crisps the cookies, but like leaves them soft in the middle. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. So I highly recommend this thing if you want a fancy oven that you basically dial in the thing you want, and then you dial in the thing you're making. It's got a bunch of presets. So you push the button, and it just does most of the work for you. It'll defrost shit. It'll do. I actually haven't air fried anything in it yet, but.
Nice.
But it's just, it's an amazing device. So anyway, the Breville Smart Oven Air Fryer Pro is my pick this week.
All right,
and it's super, cool. I mean, it is super nerdy because it's got like a digital readout, and you got like, you can turn on, I love gadgets. They actually make one that's slightly more expensive that you can control from an app on your phone, but I was like, I don't need that one. But I'll push, I can push buttons.
You need to get that one. Yeah.
Anyway, I wasn't going to get any of them. I just put it on my list. Like, what is the most outrageous thing? Because I'm hard to buy for, because I'm a person who's just like, well, if I really want something, I would have gotten it already probably. And that sounds very privileged, I realize. But it does. My needs are small, so it's like I want, if I want something, I'll save my pennies and then I'll just get it. And then come Christmas time, it's like I don't really need anything, but I'll just put something on here that no one's going to get. But then they did, which I thought was really nice. So anyway. But I have an excuse because my birthday and Christmas are really close together, so it's like a birthday Christmas present. So
okay.
That's the way I look at it. Anyway, so find the Flickcast at all the podcast places, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the other places you go to find things. Joe and I are on the socials. What Joe Writes. I'm Chris Yu, and Ulrich Picks at Instagram. I'm still on Twitter. For the time being, but also on Mastodon and a few other places, and we're on Facebook, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know the deal. You can go to our link tree to find all the links to where to find the show. But if you're listening to the show, I guess you already found it, so good for us.
Good for you.
Good for you. Well done. L'chaim. I don't even know what that means. Actually, I know what it means. It means to life, I think. So anyway.
Okay. To blave. Oh, wait, no.
To blave.
That's something
exactly.
different.
Klaatu, Barada, Niktu. But I shouldn't have said that, because now the Necronomicon will...
You're supposed to say Klaatu, Barada.
Yeah, exactly. That's what really happens,
yes.
Isn't it? Yes, Speaking of Sam Raimi, I'm just saying, who also I think had something to do with the Lucy Lawless show with Xena, right? So there you go.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So there you go. It's all coming full circle, man. It's all related. This has all happened before. It'll all happen again.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, at the end of your Acorn show, do you think she'll turn out to be a Cylon? I don't know.
I think so, and she'll murder everyone else in the show.
The murderer's been coming from inside the house the entire time.
Yes, the murderer is inside the house. She's actually been responsible for all the murders and was able to set up everyone else.
Curiously, she gets called in to solve the murder she's committing. What twist?
What?
I like it.
What? Yeah.
Convenient, isn't it? So, but yeah, I'm glad to be back, and we're gonna, we got some cool guests coming up, hopefully, and some stuff in the new year for the show, and not the same old bullshit, but probably some of the same old bullshit. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll be fun. Anything else, Joe?
I think that's probably it.
All right, cool. So for Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks so much for listening.